Welcome to the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast, the show where real estate investors talk strategy, capital, deals, and growth with your host, Dave Dubeau.
Hey folks, welcome back. If you've been in and around the real estate game for a while, you know that balance can be very, very challenging. A lot of folks are doing this part-time, so they're trying to juggle their real estate portfolio and their job, their career, their family, have a little bit of life outside of all of this. It can be a real challenge. Well, today's guest, Matt Buchalski, knows a lot about this. He's a very successful real estate entrepreneur himself. He comes from a successful corporate career. He's kind of dialed this in on how to create a bit of balance between work life and real estate and family. So Matt, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me, Dave. I'm excited about this. I'm flattered that you would have me on the show. So thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. So Matt, maybe let's start with a little snapshot real estate wise. We're recording this in the middle of 2026. What do you focus on when it comes to active real estate investing?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing, buying opportunity right now. At least the markets in North Texas where we invest have definitely retreated and normalized from the heyday of 21 through 23. Typically, we're looking for some level of value add, whether that is forced appreciation through updating units or the property itself, or operational upside through cutting costs. I think there's a lot of cost cutting opportunities out there with insurance and property taxes. So without either one or both of those criteria being met, we're very quickly walking away from opportunities. That said, Dave, I think I would be remiss to say that, we have our hands full with our current portfolio, right? There's been an enormous amount of supply coming in, and asset management of the existing doors that we have is taking up a lot of time right now.
I hear you. So what kind of properties do you focus on primarily? Like what kind of size? You're in multifamily?
We're in mostly multifamily. We're in the 20 to 96 unit range for the most part. Okay. We have some portions of our portfolio or 60s, 70s. We have some 80s, and then we have one asset that's a 2000s vintage. I still have a small portfolio of townhouses that are 70s or 80s build, and we actually acquired a RV storage facility out in Tarrant County about 3 years ago. But that was really kind of a flyer. I'd love more storage deals, but the core of the portfolio is multifamily.
Yeah, I hear you. So it sounds like you keep things fairly close to home for yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do. And that's on purpose. I romanticized about buying out of state for a long time. I used to travel to Chicago a lot for work. And I heard, you can get properties out in Chicago on the cheap, at least back then. But I didn't realize they were talking about the south side of Chicago. And I was not very comfortable out there when I went to go see a couple of properties. And I heard an episode of Bigger Pockets a long time ago. And there was two different guests. I remember very vividly. One guy said that he would only go see or buy properties so that he could travel to them and still be home in time for dinner with his family. And then I think it was Brandon Turner himself that said he drew a 2-hour radius around his house so that he could go do his business, check on properties, and still be home to spend time with his family. And both of those things really resonated with me. And everything I own is within a 2-hour radius of the house.
Well, it sounds like you're a bit of a road warrior at that time anyhow, so you probably appreciated the whole idea of being closer to home.
Yeah. I got divorced back in 2020, and I did a lot of investing after that. And I had the kids with me, and it's one of those things where you have to find the balance, right? So the kids would sometimes reluctantly jump in the car with dad and go see properties, but I had to make sure there was a donut shop or a 7-Eleven along the way, and they would want to be home in time for their favorite shows on TV or to hang out with their friends. So you had to find that middle ground.
Most definitely. Well, speaking of that middle ground and finding balance, sounds like that was a challenging time between divorce and starting to invest more and having your fair share with taking care of the kids. What are some of the things that you kind of developed, the strategies or the tactics you developed to create a bit more balance in life?
Yeah, I learned to be ruthless with time prioritization, right? I did not want to be the absentee dad more so than I probably already was, but I made sure that when I have the kids, I wanted to make sure that I was still spending adequate time with them. I could
Mhm.
underwrite deals until my eyes bled, until the wee hours of the morning, but I didn't want to miss their bedtime. There was plenty of nights with my partners that I wouldn't even get on a call with my partners until 9:30 at night because I didn't want to miss bedtime. I didn't want to miss story time. So you got to know what's really important to you as a man, as an investor, as a person. Make sure that those things are prioritized. For me, those are family and FaceTime with the kids, and then plan around that. And I think there's additional complexities when you layer in demanding careers and other things, but without those north stars around what is really important, you're just following the greed button, and that very rarely, if ever, works out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. So speaking of careers, what was you were the road warrior traveling up to Chicago on a regular basis. What were you doing prior to full-time real estate?
I've been a sales leader for the last 20 some years.
Okay.
I've grown a number of businesses from collections to small business equipment finance, and then I moved into enterprise technology in 2011, and I've grown some large organizations, including having global responsibility at one. And yeah, for a long time, I was spending a lot of time on the road. It's less now, and it's intentional, But again, you got to know what your priorities are.
So one of the things that you were talking about offline a little bit was bringing the skill set from your corporate career into your real estate investing career.
Hmm.
So how has that applied for you?
Good question. And there's a number of different ways. So I'll probably give you the top two or three. A long time ago, I got some mentorship from a guy that I know is very, very successful sales leader, works at a great cutting edge technology company. And he said, the best sales leaders speak in terms of finance, right? Know your data, know your numbers, and you'll always be able to talk to your next level executives. And I
Mhm.
never forgot that. And as I started to get into real estate, especially as you start to get into underwriting, right? You start to think about the financial components of an investment. What are your revenues? What are your expenses? How do you drive value? So on and so forth. And I've probably underwritten 1,000 deals in the last 10 years. And when I started my most recent position, my CEO said, he used the term underwrite an opportunity inside of a week, and I was kind of putting my business plan together, and I drew upon all my financial skills and underwriting capabilities, and I built out the plans for a sales organization, and I used all the things that I had focused on in, kind of preparing for a finance type
Mhm.
conversation into that, and it fit like a glove, right? So as a sales leader, I'm always thinking in terms of finance. How am I tracking towards my targets? If I have a gap, how am I going to fix it? How can I reduce my cost of sales? Do I have dead weight on the sales team that will reduce my cost envelope, but I wouldn't really sacrifice anything on the top line? That's one. Number two, and I'm going to come back to this again, is absolutely ruthless time prioritization. Like Dave,
Mm.
I am maniacal on scheduling. I am up at 5:15, maybe 5:25 every day. I am out the door to go to the gym by 5:45, 5:50. I am back to wake up the kids for school no later than 7:10, 7:15. I get them out of the bed, I go shower, I have my coffee, I'm out the door by 8, and it just becomes clockwork. And when I fall off in the rare event I fall off the rails, I feel it. Something
Yeah.
feels different, right? And the other
Mhm.
thing is when people want my time, I immediately think about the opportunity cost of that time, right? Am I
Mhm.
talking about little rocks or am I talking about big rocks? If I'm talking about big rocks, what do I sacrifice or what do I trade off by spending time with that particular person? And it sounds brash, but you have to do it, right? Because people will take
Mhm.
your time. They're focused on their time, not yours. So if you don't care about your time and how you're using it, you're just going to be wildly inefficient and spin your wheels on too many things.
So did that kind of come naturally to you, or did you kind of have to figure that out over iterations and things like that? And if so, like what tips would you have for somebody who finds that they've got time suckers in their lives?
Yeah, it took a lot of painful iteration.
Yeah.
I would app. I probably still am, if you ask my wife, an absolute workaholic. But I'd be in front of the computer at night until 11, 12 at night, 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes, just getting stuff done. And it would
Mhm.
be more busy work than actual stuff that moved the dial, right? Chances are, if you've gotten through your day and you haven't remembered to respond to an email, it probably wasn't that important to begin with. As we speak, I probably have 97 or 98,000 unread emails in my Gmail box, right?
Yeah.
You learn how to filter, you learn how to sort. Same thing goes at the office. But I got to a point where I was burning myself out. And you have to figure out, like, what are the things that are worth your time? What are the activities that you can delegate? And what are some of the things that you can just let fall by the wayside with zero consequence? And that's, again, that sounds brash, but in every person's life, in every adult's life, there are things that are going to come into your inbox. There are going to be things that people ask you to do that fall by the wayside, and they never make a ripple. And you
Yeah.
just got to learn the patterns on those and pay attention to them over time.
Exactly. And just kind of let it go. And if it's important, they'll get back to you. If it wasn't that important, they won't. So
Right.
yeah, well said. Matt, I want to go off on a complete tangent for a second here with you, my friend, because we were talking a little bit prior to the interview. You got a whole schwack of medals up on your wall behind you. So if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see that. Otherwise, you should check it out. But they have to do with something called a Spartan competition, Spartan race. Tell me a little bit about that. What role? You're a very fit guy. You can tell just by looking at you. But what role does that have in kind of letting you blow off steam?
Yeah, great question. I'll keep the story succinct. So I moved to Texas. It'll be 12 years next month, so 2014. And I was over 300 pounds.
Wow.
I lost my breath putting the kids to sleep upstairs, and it was just kind of time for a change. So October of 2014, I go on this weight loss spree. And a buddy of mine comes down to Dallas in May or June of that following spring, so 2015. And he had done a bunch of races in New York, and he's like, let's just do one at AT&T Stadium just for fun, right? You don't have to rush. We're not on the clock. Just go out and have fun. And I did it, and I had a blast, right?
So
I
for
did the
folks that
thing.
aren't familiar with it, what is it? What is a Spartan
Yeah,
race
so a
exactly?
Spartan race is a combination of a distance race with a bunch of obstacles, right?
Okay.
Spartan is founded by a guy named Joe DeSena. He's from New York, former Wall Street guy that pivoted into something that really kind of grabbed his heart. And he's built an amazing empire, fitness empire. Go follow him on social. He's one of the most uplifting people you ever meet in your life. So this one is at AT&T Stadium, the same stadium that the Cowboys play at. And there is 8 foot walls and 10 foot walls and rope climbs and things you got to hunt, sandbag carries and all kinds of stuff. That particular race was, I think, like 3 or 4 miles and 15 obstacles.
Okay.
And I got through it. And of course, you get through it. And you're like, damn, I probably could have done better. I could have gone around that curve. I could have run faster. I did the wall. It took me 3 times. How do I do it in one? And like, I was just smitten by it. And then I started to do them more and more frequently. And for me, it's one of those things where I learned to compete with myself, right?
Mm.
Not only did I do that, I always wanted to do better than I did last time. And that to me is what life is all about. No matter what you do the next time better than you did the time before that. And I got to the point, I think I finished in the top 5% of my age group a couple times. I ran one race with a hernia because the doctor said I couldn't do any more damage. So go ahead, do it and we'll fix it afterwards. To me, the culture of the people, and you have this loud music and supportive people, and people just literally finding themselves on these courses. The longest one I ever did was a half marathon and like 30 obstacles. in a place in West Texas. And yeah, I love the whole culture. I love the concept of challenging myself. And you find yourself when you're like knee deep in mud and you're soaked and it's 80 something degrees out and you're getting sunburnt at the same time. Like, what am I doing here? And you're finding yourself right there on the course, and it's awesome.
And I think you've gotten your children involved, or one of your kids is involved as well.
Both of my kids. So a few
Wow.
years ago, there's this thing where if you do one race of various kinds, they call it a trifecta. So there's the sprint, the super, and the beast. And it's like 5, 10, and 15 miles or something like that. And when you do that, you get a trifecta medal. In 1 year, I'm looking at the picture on my wall right now. I'll send it to you after the show. I had them do it too. And my son, I think my son did the first time. He's 5. He just turned 12. And they talk about it all the time.
Wow. That is fantastic. No, very cool. Thanks. That was a tangent. I just thought it'd be kind of fun. It's something different to talk about instead of
Yeah,
just real estate.
I got one coming up here in October. So it's been a little while since I got on the course. I got married last year, and I didn't want to hurt myself.
Congratulations.
But now we're back into getting dirt under the fingernails, and it's okay if I scrape myself once or twice.
Plus, you're in Texas, so you don't want to be doing anything before October, probably.
You're telling me it's 106 down here today. It's crazy.
Crazy stuff. Awesome. Well, hey, Matt, thank you very much for being on the show. Now, you've got your own podcast. Tell me a little bit about your show as well.
Yeah, so I'm a host of the More Doors podcast. We started the podcast with some GP partners of mine who had kind of another podcast, but we try and cover everything from multifamily real estate investing. We've done other things like ATMs and some other types of investing concepts. We've had Tony Robbins coaches. We've had productivity coaches. We had a lady recently who does what is the infinite banking concept,
Oh, right.
Erica
Yeah.
Neal, right? We're really trying to deliver value, people. We don't want to be just another real estate podcast, so we try and bring different dimensions in, but it's super raw, super authentic. We drop a few F-bombs from time to time. We try and get a laugh out of things, but we have a lot of fun with it. And check it out. It's called the More Doors Podcast. You can find us wherever podcasts are or on YouTube, and we have a lot of fun with it.
And who are you looking to connect with these days, Matt?
I am looking to happy to connect with investors. The people I really want to connect with are people that know they want more for themselves. And whether that's fitness, whether that's investing, whether that's corporate, whether that's family, like hit me up, send me a LinkedIn invitation. I'm happy to give you, 15, 30 minutes worth of time. If you want to vent, if you want to run an idea, if you need some coaching, I'm happy to chat with people that always want to find ways to move the ball downfield in different areas of their life.
So, what's the best place for people to find you?
I am all over LinkedIn. Maybe not so much the last couple of weeks. I've been a little busy, but find me on LinkedIn. I think there's 2 Matt Buchalskis. I'm the handsome one. And you can send me a connection request and a message. I promise I'll get back to you.
Fantastic, Matt. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Dave. This is a lot of fun.
All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Property Profits Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, apply at daveinterviews.com.